Good morning, dear students. Now welcome back to your BST class. We have started the third chapter yesterday, wherein you have seen that we will study the private, public and global enterprise in this chapter. So yesterday I taught you that public enterprise has three sectors. The first one is the departmental undertaking, the second one is the statutory corporations, and the third one is your government company. So yesterday we have finished departmental undertakings, wherein we have seen that department undertakings takes the department in their hands and it is controlled by the government, and in such a way they can proceed, and all these are public companies, so they ultimately are doing the business for the welfare of the public. So now our today's topic is statutory corporations. We will learn about statutory corporations and the government companies. We will see about all the merits, features, demerits of both these type of companies. So let's see what statutory company means. So public corporation is generally created as an autonomous institution by passing a special act in the parliament or the state. Means when in the parliament or in the state a special act has been passed according to a particular thing, a special act for that thing is passed, that is known as your public corporation. Now what does this word autonomous mean? What is autonomous institution? Autonomous institution means self-governing or independent institution. They are totally independent, they are not dependent on anyone, and this is generally passed with a special act in the parliament or state. So see an example, RBI Act 1934. So as a body corporate, it will be a separate entity. It can enter into any legal purpose. It can sue anyone and it can be sued by anyone. It can enter into a contract and acquire property in its own name. Means it's totally a body corporate. Like you have learnt now, a company is a separate legal entity from its member. Same way a public corporation is a separate body corporate, wherein it has a legal entity. It can sue anyone in its name. Anyone can sue the public corporation if they are cheating. The public corporation can enter into any contract. They can buy any particular property in its own name. So all these are your meaning and definition of public corporation. Let's see the examples. Some important public corporations like Reserve Bank of India, Indian Airlines Corporations, Life Insurance Corporation and KSRTC. Just find out what this KSRTC, I am not going to tell you. Let's see who will find it. Just a hint, it is related to your Kerala state, so you will find and jot down the full form in your copies. So these are some important corporations which are there. Jot down all these important examples in your notebooks. Now let's move towards the features of the public corporation. So let's see what are the features or the characteristics of these public corporations. It is formed by special act, means just as the name says, a special act has to be passed through which it will be formed, like LIC Act 1956. See, these features are just one line features. So if you write the bullet points nicely and one line or two lines, it is enough. So please jot down these points. So it is created under special act of parliament or state assembly. Either the parliament will pass the special act or the state assembly will pass the special act. So this is the first feature. The second is ownership. It is totally owned by the government. Ultimately, it is public corporation. So public means it is owned by the government. So totally the ownership lies in the hands of the government. Third, separate legal existence. As I said, it can sue and it can be sued by anyone. So it has a separate legal entity so that its own properties, it can enter into the own property or buy can own property and enter into a contract in its own name. I mean, its own name can be used for entering into a contract, for buying any property, for suing anyone, or anyone can sue this. So it has a separate legal existence apart from its members. Understood the third point? Financial autonomy. It means it obtains funds through borrowing from the treasury or the public and from the sale of the goods and services. Means this public corporations can obtain fund either from borrowing, and how can they borrow? Either from the government treasury or even from the public, or even when they sell their own goods and services, they get the money. So these are the various sources from which they can get the finance. So it has the power to utilize that revenue and do whatever it wants to do. Means it can use that purpose for its business. That finance can be used for running of the business. So sources of finance is many. Government treasury, public money, sales of the goods and services, all these are your financial autonomy. employees. So they are appointed as per the terms and conditions of the incorporation, and they are not allowed to be treated as government servant. Minded, they are not government servant, but they are appointed on the terms and conditions of the corporation. Means whatever are the terms and conditions given by the public corporation, according to those terms the people will be appointed, but they are not called as government servants. As in the department undertakings, we saw that they are ultimately the government servant. Here they are not the government servant. Understood? And the last feature is independent accounting and audit. It means it has its own auditing and accounting and audit, but not subject to government audit and budget allocation. It is not that they have to be, the books will be inspected by the government. So they can do their own accounting, they can audit their own books, they have their own CAs to do the auditing. So government has no control over them. Understood? So their accounting and audit is independent. So these were your 6 merit features of the public corporation. Now let's move to the second topic, merits of the public corporation. So see what are the advantages or the merits of the public corporation. Moving to the first point, high degree of flexibility. It means what? It enjoys flexibility of operations and financial terms of managerial freedom, since it is free from the undesirable government control. Since it can operate freely, it is flexible, it is not rigid. Plus they have the financial managerial freedom. Finance is totally under their hands. They can use the money as they want. Plus they are free from the government control. So there is a lot of flexibility. They can do and modify as per their own wants and needs. No government control is there in the public corporation. So government control is not there. They have the flexibility to do the things according to them. Second point, least government interference. So again the same thing, there is no budget allocation of funds from the government, so there is no much interference and control of the government. Government will have no control over them. So they have the government's least control. Totally the control lies in their own hand, the corporation's hand. Understood? Autonomous state, again as the definition was saying, autonomous means they are self-independent and self-growing. So they can frame their own policies and procedures with the purview of the act. Just they have to follow the act, within the purview of the act they have to do. But ultimately they are independent, they can do whatever they want themselves. They can have their own rules and policies, everything. Understood? Helps in economic development. It means what? Ultimately these public corporations help towards the economic development in a big way. Economic development of the whole country in a big way, because they will contribute a lot for the economic development. So ultimately the economy lies in the hands of the public corporation. So they will help in the development. Understood? And now moving to the last point that we have, stability. Now since there is no subject to political change, means political parties are not interfering, there is no changes. So these type of public corporations can take long-term business policies. They can have some policies which will help them to take long-term plannings. They can plan in advance what will be their long-term goals. So there is a stability sort of thing in these public corporations, which is a very big advantage for them, which was not there in departmental undertakings. So these were your 5 merits of public corporation. Now let's move towards the limitations of public corporations. That means the disadvantages of the public corporations. So let's see what the disadvantages are. Rules and regulations. Now it does not enjoy much operational flexibility, as it is governed by various rules and regulations of the government. Like little government rules and regulations are there. So not much operational flexibility is there. In the way of operations, they cannot be flexible, because they have to follow the rules and regulations of the corporation, of the act. Act has some rules and regulations through which they have to follow. So that is again a big drawback, that too much of rules and regulations for them. Political interference. Now in practice, complete autonomy is not possible. They say that there is no political interference. They say that you have complete autonomy, but when it comes to practical, there is still a little bit of interference by the ministry. Ultimately they keep interfering. So it looks like that there is no political interference, but actually there is no complete autonomy in their hands. So political interference is there. Chances of corruption. Now, officials may misuse the autonomy status for personal gain. Some officials, under the table, they do the business and take black money. Ultimately, they pass on the deals and everything. So, for the personal gain, that autonomy status has been misused by some of the officials. Some officials, in order to, get the money for themselves, misuse this power and do whatever they feel like. Because they know that not much government interference is there. So, I can do whatever I want. So this is a big drawback of public corporations. Understood? Inefficiency. Now, absence of competition and profit motive leads to inefficient operation. There is no competition in the market. There is no motive to earn money. So ultimately, sometimes there is inefficiency. People are not efficient enough to do the work. So operations are inefficient. So this is a big drawback of the public corporations. And now the last point that you have is delay in action. Now, quick decisions cannot be taken by the officials. Means officials cannot take the decisions quickly because there is involvement of some government nominees in the directors of board. Now, in the board of directors, there are some people from the government who are part of the board of directors. So they ultimately do not let the decisions happen quickly. They interfere and let the decisions delayed. So delay in the action is a big drawback, that the decisions cannot be taken fast. So this is the last demerit of public corporations. Understood about the whole public corporations? Please go through all the features, merits, demerits. Now we move to the next topic, government company, which is the last topic for today. Again, we will see what government company is, what are the merits, features and demerits, and that's it. So see what government company is. Public enterprises which are organized under the Companies Act are government companies. Means those public enterprises which are organized under the Companies Act, they are our government companies. Now, it is a company in which at least 51% of the share capital is to be held by the central government or by the state government or even both. Please remember this point. This is very important. At least 51% of the share capital should be in the hands of either the central government or the state government, or together they can have the 51% share. But ultimately, more than 50% lies in the hand of the government. Then that company will be known as a government company. Understood? See the examples. Hindustan Shipyard Limited, Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, Coal India Limited, Steel Authority of India. All these are some example of government companies. These companies have shares of 51% under the hands of the government. Understood about the features and definition and the examples. Now let's move to the features of this government company. So let's see what the characteristics or the features of this company is. First one, incorporation. Now it is incorporated under the Companies Act 1956, means it's a government company, so incorporation has to be done according to the act. So very easy point, incorporation is under the Companies Act. Second, separate legal entities. Just like your company, all the factors will come. A company has a separate legal entity, so the government company also has a separate legal entity. It can own property in its own name. It can enter into a contract with anyone. It can sue anyone. Anyone can sue it. So all its own name can be used for all these purposes. It can buy the property in its own name. It can sue any party in its own name. Any party can sue him in the name, or in that name he can enter into a contract. So there is a separate legal entity from the members. Understood the feature? The third point is management. Management is vested in the hands of the board of directors. Directors which are appointed by the government. Now government will appoint the directors. So ultimately the management lies in the hand of those government servants. They will take the total management control. Understood? Moving to the fourth point, I told you companies have memorandum of association and articles of association. So objects of the company and the rules and regulations are everything should be contained in these documents. Means your memorandum of association and articles of association should contain all the objects of the company, all the rules of the company, all the regulations of the company. So everything should be written in MOA and AOA. Everything about the company has to be pre-handed written in the MOA and AOA. Understood the fourth feature? Moving to the next one, we have accounting and audit procedure. Now they are exempted from accounting and audit rules as per that. The act doesn't say them that your books will be audited and accounted. Understood? So however government appoint auditors and the reports have been presented in the parliament or the legislative assembly, they say that you don't need it, but ultimately government appoints some auditors to inspect the books so that there is no cheating, and they present those reports in the parliament house or in the legislative assembly. When the meetings are there, they publish their reports. So this is again a big feature of the government companies, that auditing is not much required. They are free from it, but still government appoints the auditors. And now moving to the last feature, funds. Now, investment in the government company is raised by the government shareholdings and from the private shareholders. The private shareholders and the government companies raise the funds from the government treasury. From the sometimes the private shareholders are there who wants to buy that 40. If 51 is in the hands of the public, how much is remaining? 49% is remaining. That 49% can be taken and owned by any private shareholders. So a lot of funds can be gathered from the private shareholders. Understood? These were your 6 features of the government company. Now let's move to the next topic for today. The merits of the government company. That means what are the advantages of these government companies. So let's see what are the advantages. Easy formation by registration. Just you need to register yourself. So no need of enactment of a special act in the parliament. As in the statutory corporation, you wanted to have an act. Here the formation is very easy. Just register yourself and then you can start the company. So formation is easy only by registration. The second point is separate legal entity. As the name says, it has a separate legal existence apart from the government. It can own properties, it can sue anyone, it can be sued anyone. So again, it's a big merit for the government company that company has a separate legal entity in the market, in the eyes of the law. Understood? Quick decision. Third point is they can take the prompt decision in time as they has autonomy power. Means totally again they are self-dependent. Government control is not much because it is ultimately a government company. So prompt decision can be made. Understood? This is the third merit of the government company. And now moving on to the last merit of the government company, prevents unhealthy business. Means it can control unhealthy practices by providing the goods and services at a reasonable price. If the government opens up a company, the goods and services can be delivered to the people at a reasonable price. So unhealthy and malpractices of some businessmen can be controlled. So ultimately unhealthy business practices are avoided. Preventions are there. So this is again a big merit of having a government company. Now let's move the last topic of the day. Limitations of the government company or the drawbacks, or you can say disadvantages of the government company. First is autonomy is just for namesake. Means again, as the name says, they have autonomy, but since the government is only the shareholders, so some companies and some provisions of the Companies Act have no relevance. A company has no existence of its own. Totally government will see. So government will have the control. So autonomy is only for the namesake, but again the government is influencing, poking up the nose, taking up all the decisions. So ultimately they are the head. So this is again a big drawback. Second, no accountability. Now even though major investment is made by the government, it is not answerable to the parliament. Government passes the bill, okay, do this sort of business, do this investment, but then they are not answerable to the parliament. Parliament will not say them anything. So ultimately there is no accountability on them. They are doing the decisions, taking the decisions which they feel like is good. So they are not answerable to anyone. Understood? And the last limitation that you have is main purpose is not served. Now being the major shareholder, government controls affairs of the company. Now they are the shareholder because 51% shares lies in the hands of the government. So government control the affairs of the company. It defeats the main purpose by registering like the other companies. So the main purpose, or like other companies, been defeated. Everything lies in the hands of the government. So these were your limitations of the government company. That's all for today. Now go through all the things that we have done and write